Shalom, shalom lekulam, and Chag Sukkot Sameach. I hope you have enjoyed your time tabernacling. This is a continuation of the helpful hey, and just by way of review, we want to note that we've done the heys which appear as a prefix. The heh-the, which is the definite article, heh-ha-she'elah, the question particle, and heh-ha-kiryah, the vocative particle. There are a few other heys that appear as prefixes. They're used in the different binyanim, in the hifil and the hitpa'el, and I think that we'll just tackle binyanim at a whole nother time once we finish this series on the letters of the Aleph Bet and how they're used in different ways. So today we're going to start in with the heys that are used in suffixes, and I'm sure you're very familiar with the first idea, and that is most of the nouns which are feminine end in hey. There are other nouns that are feminine that end in tav, and there are also just some specific rules that you can learn, mostly place names, the names of cities and countries. Towns are also feminine, although they may not end in hey or tav. The parts of the body are generally feminine, although they may not end in hey or tav. So we are going to start by looking at some words which do end in hey and which are feminine. And of course we go to the scripture. Starting in Bereshit Aleph, in the first chapter of Genesis. And let's learn how to write the Aleph. The cursive Aleph, the handwriting Aleph, is very different than the block letter, and it's made of two parts, and it looks like this. There's a small piece of a circle here that's on the line, and then a line comes next to it up and down like this. And that line can be bigger than other letters. Aleph, it takes two parts. 1, 2. Now there's some older writing of it, actually, that looks like this. And if you remember the meaning, the root meaning for the letter Aleph, it means the strength of an ox, and this is the head of the ox. So if you turn it this way, you can see the head of the ox. And if you turn it this way, you can see that that's where our letter A comes from. So we're in Bereshit Aleph, Genesis 1, Pasuk Chamesh, the 5th verse. Vayikra Elohim la'or yom, v'lachoshech kara laila, vayihi erev, vayihi voker, yom echad. So the word we see there is laila, and it is feminine, and you know that that word means night. Going to the same chapter, and verse Esrim v'chamesh, verse 25 in Bereshit Aleph in Genesis 1. V'ya'as Elohim et chayat ha'aretz lemina, ve'et ha'behema lemina, ve'et ha'remes ha'adama leminehu, ve'yar Elohim ki tov. So we see several words in there that are feminine, that end in hey. We have the behema, the animal or the beast, and we have the adama, the very land. This is an example of a word which is a place. It is feminine. We can see it's feminine. The adama, the land, is feminine. Going on to Perek Shalosh, Perek Gimel, chapter 3, also in Bereshit, and Pasuk Esrim, verse 20. Vayikra ha'adam shem ishto Chava, ki hi hayata im kol chai. So this is a part of scripture where Adam names his wife, and we have a little joke. Oh, he named his wife Eve because she was born at night. No, the Bible only makes sense in Hebrew. The names of people are all important, and they have relevance to prophecy and many other ideas, subjects that are connected throughout the Bible. And so we see he named her Chava because she was the mother of all Chai. Her name means living thing. She's the mother of all living things. Okay? Another set of names that we're going to look at of women appears in Breshit Daled, Genesis chapter 4, Pasuk Cha Esrei, the 19th verse. And we read, V'yikach lo lamech shtei nashim, shem ha'achat Ada, v'shem ha'shenit Tzillah. So these are also the names of Lamech's two wives. Now remember that there are two different Lamechs in the Bible. There's the Lamech of the line of Cain, and that is this line. And then we have Lamech, who is Noah's father, who's going to appear much later. And so this fellow has two wives, and they have names. You can see they end in hey, and they're feminine names. Ada means like an adornment, and Tzillah means a shadow. So can you imagine what that guy's life was like? He's got these two wives, one trophy wife and one wife who just kind of skulks around after him all the time. Probably not a good situation. In addition to the nouns ending in hey, all feminine adjectives are also going to end in hey, and so we're going to look at some examples of those. We're going to go to Breshit Perek Chamesh Esrei. And this will give us a chance to review an important principle in writing the letters as numbers. Usually when we have the numbers in the teens, we would use a yud for 10 and then the corresponding letter. So 12, for example, would be yud bet. And the yud is just a little tiny line like that. And if we were writing 12, we would write yud bet. We would put those two little hash marks there to say that we're not writing a word, but we're writing a number. However, there are two numbers which do not follow this rule, and they are 15 and 16. The reason for this is that if we were to write 15 using yud for 10, then we would have to use the hey for 5. And then we would be writing Yud Hey. And this looks like the name of God. It looks like the name of Yahweh. And so the Jews are not willing to write that to make it unconfusing. They don't like to write the name of God if it's not necessary. So instead of using Yud Hey, which would be 10 plus 5, they write Tet Vav, which is 9 plus 6. So let's see how to write the tet. The tet is an oversized letter, and it starts in the middle of the line. It comes down, and then it hooks up above the line. That's going to be the tet. 1, 2. And the vav is just a small line, very much like the block letter, that would go next to it. It would be the same height as any normal letter. So we have tet, vav, 9 plus 6 to make 15. They do the same thing with the number 16. You will not see yud vav for the same reason. They write tet zayin, 9 plus 7 to make 16. Continuing in Breshit tet vav, Genesis 15, and also in verse 15, we read, Va'ata tavo el avotecha b'shalom, tikaver b'seva tova. So Yahweh's talking to Abraham, and he's given him this promise while they're cutting the covenant about what's going to happen to him in his future. And he says, and you will go to your forefathers, to your fathers, in peace. You will be buried at a good old age. We see the noun seva, which means an old age. It has to do with gray hair, and it's a feminine noun. So the adjective must also be feminine, and we see tova, it has that hey at the end, and it corresponds as an adjective modifying old age. You will go in a good old age. This verse is actually the first place where the word shalom appears in Tanakh. Okay, moving to Shir HaShirim, we'll look at another adjective. Shir HaShirim is the Song of Songs, sometimes called the Song of Solomon, in Perek Shesh, and Perek Shesh will be the Vav that we just learned how to write that Vav, and Pasuk Arba, Song of Songs, chapter 6, verse 4. Yafa at rayati katirtsa nava kirshalayim ayuma kenidgalot. The beloved is calling, and he says, "You are beautiful, my beloved." So the beloved is female, and we're going to talk about this at next in 1 minute. So hold on to your hat. Let's look at the yafa. The yafa is female. Feminine, it's an adjective. You are beautiful. Okay, let's talk about the at and the ata. All right, there are, as we were talking about at, we notice there are two major discrepancies in the idea of words that end in hey being feminine. And the first of these is the pronoun for the masculine singular second person, which is ata. The masculine pronoun has the hey on it, ata, aleph, tav, hey. It is masculine even though it ends in hey. It breaks the rule that we're talking about. Let's have a look and see where ata appears in the scripture. If we go to Bereshit Gimel, the 3rd chapter of Genesis, Pasuk 11, verse 11. We've looked at this verse one time before. Vayomer, mi higid lecha ki erum ata, hamin ha'etz asher tziviticha levilti achal mimenu achalta. So we see Elohim is talking to Adam, and he's saying, who told you that, ki, erum ata, you are naked. So that you has the hey on it, it's the masculine. In Shir HaShirim, in the Song of Solomon, we see at. That is the feminine. It breaks the rule. The second rule breaker is for numbers. So even though adjectives that are feminine, that are modifying feminine nouns, will have hey, that is always true except for the numbers. In the numbers, the masculine numbers have the hey on them. Let's flip over and look at an example in Bereshit Shesh, also Bereshit Vav, chapter Vav, Genesis 6, and verse 10. Vayoled Noach shlosha vanim, et Shem, et Cham, v'et Yafet. So Noah has 3 sons. Ben is clearly a masculine noun. It's in the masculine plural, banim, but we don't see shalosh, we see shlosha, having the hey on the end. So these are the two rule breakers for the words that end in hey, being feminine. There's quite a few other uses where the hey is feminine. We'll look at some verb uses and also some prepositional uses in the next installment of the Helpful Hey. In the meantime, Tasimet Hainayim al Hashamayim, keep your eye on the sky, your redemption draweth nigh. Shalom.